and blessings, family. There's a lot of noise around me today, but I want to talk to you. This is what happens when you're living in New York City. Come out into nature, and it's still all kinds of things going on. But there's beauty out here too, and I'm grateful. But welcome to today's video. I want to talk about distractions on your path of manifestation, distractions on your path of aligning with that which you desire. You see, it takes a lot of focus and clarity and decision, along with willpower, to steer your creation in a direction that will align you with the reality that contains that which you seek. But in order to continue to be a match to that vibration, to that reality, there is a constant moment by moment experience that is happening internally that leads to our external decisions that is necessary to continue to steer your creation in that direction. Now, there is a law called the law of assumption, and it is a big teaching of one of the greats, Neville Goddard. And Neville Goddard speaks about living in the wish fulfilled. You see, the version of you that contains the reality that has the results that you seek, that person has a certain thinking process. That person has certain habits. That person is involved in certain creation within themselves. And so if you can start to access that version of yourself, where does she hang out? What does she do? What does a day in her life look like? What are her habits? What are the skills that she has? What is she like? What does she avoid? Who is she surrounded by? Right? As you begin to engage in these aspects of yourself, you open yourself to become available to that which you need to bring that creation to life, right? I learned this as I was hosting retreats. You see, I wasn't trained on hosting retreats. I attended many before I became a retreat host, but there was still so much that I needed to understand about the business of retreats and getting involved with it. And it wasn't until I decided to do it that reality became aware to me. And yes, there was some research that I did. However, many of it came to me in the form of an intuition. Like, hey, you need to be mindful of this. You need to develop this. You need to have this set in place. And in many of my creations, that was how life unfolded for me. And I do believe that there is a formula in that. Once you decide on something, it seems as if all of your energy begins to move in the direction of bringing that into completion. This reminds me of a book I read a few years ago called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which was discussing the difference between a rich mindset and a poor mindset. And the gentleman in the book that was speaking the story spoke about how he had his father who was a teacher and only had a certain level of awareness in regards to money, and his best friend's father who was a business owner who had an entirely different scope of realization, of understanding, of even creativity within. And so what he explained was that when he would ask his father, the teacher, for money, his father would always say, we can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. We don't have that. You can't have it. And so what that does to the mind, if he would have settled for that, is completely close himself off to the possibility to become available to what a reality looks like that is opposing that. But luckily, he had a best friend whose father was a business owner and understood the concept of infinite potentiality and infinite possibilities. And so anytime he would go and speak to his father, he would ask him, well, how can you get that? Right? It's not a matter of if you can have it or not. It's a matter of becoming available to the reality that contains that possibility. So what that does to the mind, right? Instead of closing the mind off and closing the possibility off, what you do in that situation is you become available to the pathway that opens you up to that possibility. So it's like this. When you go on Google and you search for a question, the question that you are seeking, Google then goes through all of its databases in order to get you an answer to your question. And so your focus and your attention, it works in that same way. Whereas whatever you put your focus on, whatever you put your attention on, it takes you into the pathway to become available to that knowledge, to that wisdom, to that development, to even showing you where you are currently in that journey to where you want to be, giving you insight on what needs to be developed within yourself, what skills you may need to acquire, what information, what new belief systems you may need to put in to insert into your hardware in order to operate in a fully effective version of that dream fulfilled, that wish fulfilled, that desire fulfilled. And so anything is possible, right? I also want to talk about in regards to this, being detached to the time that it takes for you to develop that creation, right? We could be blocking our blessings because we think it needs to look and be a certain way, right? Think about all the things that life has to rearrange on the back end that we're not able to see in order to align that reality to you. All the connections, all the people, all the places that intuitively it will guide you along the way to get there. And that's another thing, right? Following those nudges. I believe someone once told me that it was Will Smith who said it, but ideas are like messages from God. And so when you're asking for these insights, asking it is given, right? It is given, but are you open enough to following and trusting those insights when they come, those nudges when they come? Sometimes those insights and those nudges looks like things that make you step out of your comfort zone, make you do things that you've never done before, puts you in situations that you would have never thought you would have had to do to get where you want to go. Sometimes it may even look like things that are not of the nature of what you want, but it's actually giving you the opportunity to develop certain things within yourself to become available to that reality. There is a journey to get to our manifestations. Are we willing to be patient, to be surrendered, to be detached, but also connected and committed to the vision, repetitively, continuously choosing it, affirming it, and moving in that direction until it happens? There was a book that I found a couple years ago. I was on my way to Utah, maybe about 15 years ago, when I was in a network marketing company, and I was on the plane and I just found this book, and it was called 3 Feet from Gold. And that was a theme that kept playing out in my life many, many times over, where because I would not commit to completion, I would be 3 feet from gold so many times in my life and not be able to acquire the gold that was literally on the other side of the finish line if I just stayed. See, they say quitters never win and winners never quit. So if you keep these mentalities in your pathway of that which you are looking to birth into your life has no choice but to give you that which you are moving towards. You are literally steering your creation with every thought, with your attention, with every feeling, with your will. So continue to be open to the possibilities that exist within you. Continue to follow your dreams, because your dreams are dreaming you. And you can have it all. You can have it all. Do not allow the mind to play the tricks and the games of you while you're moving through the supposed waiting game. It's not even a waiting game, right? It's a development game. But sometimes the concept of time can get people tripped up that life is not giving them what they want, what they desire. Life has its own beautiful and divine order. As long as you continue to play your part and do what you need to do, there's only a matter of time before it comes to you. And sometimes that matter of time is 2 years. Sometimes that matter of time is 5 years. Sometimes it's 2 months. Sometimes it's a week. Do not allow time to derail you from that which you are moving towards. Life is on your side. Life is working for you. You can have it all. I love you.